Hello everyone. People are still coming in, but I wanted to just welcome you to this webinar. And while we are waiting also for people who are currently joining the webinar, I'd like to point out that this webinar is offered by the European Digital Learning Network, which is an initiative of experienced European organizations which are active in Europe for many years in the field of education and training. And we cover school education, higher education, vocational education and training, as well as adult education and society capacity building. So we cover all stages and ages, let's say, of education and training with the members within this network. Our goal is to boost the potential and enhance the possibilities of people, especially in the field of digital learning, digital skills, digital competence. Myself, I will be your host today. I'm a chemical engineer with experience in project management and in relation to this specific webinar to the application of novel tools, mainly to early adopters. So what we are going to discuss today is the introduction of novel technologies, and we would like to present to you the manager and the employee point of view. A few specifics about GoToWebinar in case you haven't used it before. The participants during the webinar are in listen-only mode. We would like to welcome questions to the chat, which you can find on your dashboard. And please note that this webinar is recorded, and the recording as well as the presentation will be available afterwards on the dLearn site. What I would also like to ask from the participants, if you care to be a bit more active, is that during this presentation I will pose some questions just to boost interaction and participation and have a bit of more engagement rather than snoozing. So I will ask for some questions mainly to see if we have some eye to eye or if you have a different point of view on certain aspects, and I would like to ask that you would provide the answers to these questions in the chat box, so I will be able to see, and then we can comment on this according to what we have already planned for you today. So let's go ahead and start with the introduction, let's say. So what are we going to talk about? So we want to do an introduction of usage and adoption of novel technologies, and we will offer the management point of view, stress the management commitment, the need to engage in change management, but also we need to consider the employee point of view, and we will offer examples of tools that we can use. The thing is that what is novel technologies for many people can be different. So my first question would be towards you is what you would consider novel technologies. The group is formed of people who have different points of views, so you may answer what you consider novel technologies either from your point of view as users or of what you would suggest for your clients. And please don't be shy. I know probably we will have a difficulty in the first interactions, but I hope we will have a better one as we progress. Okay, let's see what I would consider, or what let me rephrase that, a lot of people consider as novel technologies today. When we talk about novel technologies, there might be more or less novel, but the focus is on digitizing production and processes. So whether you are in the manufacturing domain and you have specific production things that can be digitized and automized, whether you are on processes and more administrative types of businesses, there are still novel technologies that could be introduced. So we have cloud or fireware technologies that enable collaboration among teams, data sharing, file sharing, and working on teams from remote distances as well in a safe and structured, probably encrypted way. So the introduction of cloud solutions, let's say, this is something that a lot of companies think that this is something new to introduce. We can go more tech savvy and discuss 3D printing. So in the manufacturing domain, there is a lot of stress and a lot of companies are rising that construct machines that do the 3D printing or offer services related to that. For the more managerial, let's say, point of view or a specific user point of view, there's a lot of stress on what we call visual analytics. So the visual analytics could be that if we use actual devices, then we can use thermal depth cameras or another way of capturing a picture that will then be analyzed and then a piece of information is extracted by it, which is in turn is redirected for evaluation. But it's not only the part of the visual analytics that one can consider, but also the visualization of the results. So things like charts, pies, infographics, and more, let's say, picturesque point of views are often very useful to people who do not need to be really in depth in the technical terms, but still they need to use the information to complete their work. So there you go with the visual analytics. There's also, if we want to discuss a bit about what is happening currently in Europe, especially in the industry domains and also the services which are tied to industries, we need to not omit the Factories of the Future initiatives, which I would like to also suggest that it's not only about the factories of the future, but it's also about the services of the future. So it's not only the technical part that we need to take care of, but the introduction of novel technologies is also related to the introduction of novel services to these companies. You can be either someone that gives out the service or someone who receives it. So yeah, you may need to install some sensors and you have, sorry for that, the sensors can be used for the recognition of movement. You can use pressure mats to see who or how many people are going in and out of a certain area. You might use sensor to make an area restricted and give out warnings when someone goes in there using localization devices. So there's a lot of things that you can use in order to digitize and introduce novel sensors which need to be complementary to the existing sensor system. So this is what we are listening these days as the Internet of Things. And I would also like here to make the remark that it's not only the Internet of Things ahead of us, it's also the Internet of Services, in the sense that these things, these devices, will give information that need to be somehow transferred into knowledge so that they can use to provide services Or in another sense, it could be the case that some external collaborator comes to a company that offers the complete infrastructure of the Internet of Things plus the services that need to result as the thing, the amount, the concept that will be of value to the exact company. Pattern recognition is also something that attracts attention these days in terms of identifying patterns in data, in people behavior movement, in motion. So being able to automatically assess data and use pattern recognition techniques, there are quite a few models around that can be used, is also something that can be considered as a new approach for some people. The main problem, let's say, is that we may have advanced in terms of censoring, in terms of technologies, sorry, but we are not as advanced as we would like maybe sometimes, in the sense of actually using the data that are derived and transferring them into actionable knowledge. So there are a couple or more of novel approaches on how to do that. Please note that novel is not always very tech savvy, but it can be too. So for some companies, novel, it could be just the migration of a desktop application to a mobile application. So the same principles that we will discuss today apply there too. But if we want to go a bit further and discuss about novel devices as well, one would need to consider augmented reality or virtual reality, and in general smart objects. So if you are in the virtual reality world, you are not in touch, let's say, with the environment, and you are immersed in the virtual reality using a specific head device. When you are in the augmented reality environment, you still need to put on a set of glasses, but you are in interaction with the environment and you get notification, pictures, text, sounds, or even videos displayed in the augmented reality glasses, with the possibility to be in touch with the environment at the same time. So smart objects, whether they are glasses, wristbands, IoT, actuators, or other types of intelligent things, let's say, are also part of the novel technology movement, whether you call it factory of the future, whether you call it industry 4.0, whether you call it just an update of an existing platform, of an existing application, or even of an existing administrative support system. So these are what we would like to consider as novel technologies. The thing is, and the question that I would like to pose at this point is, why would someone, you think, would consider to use these novel technologies? Why would someone need to go ahead and say, let's go, let's try about that. Let's see if this is applicable to me. The why depends on the answer maybe to this why, which I don't see any answers from your side yet, depends on the answer on this depends on who you ask. So from the management point of view, anything new that comes into a company or in an organization needs to increase productivity and profitability. And it is a way to make sure that the organization stays updated with current trends. What we see in the discussions and meetings and advisory groups that we have with early adopters, it is the fact that there is a lot of anxiety, let's say, among the organizations that are on the top to don't get left behind. So except for the big players that already developing their own novel technologies, smaller companies, even SMEs, that are very active in novel, let's say, markets, they stress the need that they don't want to get left behind. So they want to make sure that they are as good, as updated, as trendy, if you will, with their opponents, with the other products similar in the market. So this is not always this thing of, yeah, I like this and I would like to use it because it might be nice. It is also a matter of being in the same rank as everyone else in the market that you are already working with. There is a strong need to digitize processes. A lot of things are still done in non-automatic ways. In order for Europe to stay competitive and also in time and money-wise to the other markets which are already up or rising, we need to digitize the processes that we use. An approach that's gaining attention is the zero defects or faults strategy. So what can we do? How can we use tools, technologies, software to make sure that there are no faults, no defects in the outcome of our work? The human has some limitations in terms of the amount of data that can process in a certain period of time. With the technology, we don't need to have this limitation. But with the augmentation of data being generated and the interconnections that are available, because more and more organizations are operating outside of their countries, outside maybe even of their continent, there is a strong need to be extra effective, extra efficient, and to be the top company that you will be a significant asset to the clients, and they will not think about changing you, exchanging you with another company. So how can you select which tool to use? There are a lot. There are a lot of technologies, there are a lot of companies, bigger, smaller, more experienced startups. The thing is that you don't need to use a Ferrari if you're just going on a country road. So what can I select is related to what is suitable for my company or organization. So we need to consider what's our company's medium and long-term strategy and mission. What we want to achieve. What is the goal here? Is a company trying to be on the top 5, let's say, of the market, or at least top 5% of the market, or we are happy with lower level technologies just to the level that we don't be too much behind from the people in the market. So there is a matter of applicability and suitability for your exact business. And as we already discussed, market trends and the position that the market leaders are in are also important. When people are trying to see how a company is doing or what is the optimal way that an organization could be functioning, they compare themselves to competition, but with the top competition. So when you need to consult and when you need to take this decision on what I would like to adopt, you need to consider what are the best ones doing. Who is the best in the market, or who are the best in the market? Why are they on the top? What kind of technologies and tools do they use? What types of functionalities they offer to their customers and to their employees? and then decide also based upon that. It is very important to listen to your clients, but also to stakeholders. When we say stakeholders, it could be anyone involved in the supply chain of any type of organization. You need to listen within the organization and outside and receive feedback that you can then filter to assess if there is actually a request, a need for something new in the environment that you are working in. And of course, since we all want to work to make money, there needs to be a return of investment. What I would like to point out here is that it should be viewed as an investment. It's not only cost. It's not only that we will spend money to, let's say, host our application to the cloud. It's not only money that we will spend to buy a 3D printer. We need to consider what types of savings we will have, cost reductions, as well as other effects, maybe even on the brand name, the marketing value, or any other side effects, reduction of CO2 emissions. So you need to paint the overall picture, or at least consider the overall picture with a certain initial set of data in order to be able to make this decision. Nothing can be done if the management does not believe in it. So there is a necessity, whether you are on the top or medium level of a company and you are in a management or supervising position, whoever is there needs to be strongly committed and to promote a clear message. There are measurements saying that if you pass a message from 5 people in a hierarchical point of view, the 70% of the message get lost. So the clear message needs to be conveyed to all levels and point out the advantages from the use to everyone. There are a lot of things that have been left on a shelf. Software, devices, procedures. The company-wide approach needs to be used, and it needs to be part of everyone involved in this introduction project. And there is a strong need to share information in all directions and dimensions. There is not a possibility to have people accepting things if they are not informed about this. And there is also a need to make sure and clear the message, the advantages, and to, let's say, not lie about it. It's something that, yes, it will be a change. They will be somehow affected. There will be some time needed to transfer from one system to another. But in order to do that, the management needs to provide and allocate the necessary resources and make sure that there is enough people, time, materials, and machines that make sure that the new thing can be introduced, used, and accepted. Why systems like these fail? They do fail if the management does not follow through. So yeah, it's a nice idea, let's go, let's do it, but after a few months the management commitment fails, there's not strong engagement, and the task is left to a couple of people that try to run behind 20. If there's not continuous monitoring of the adoption of the penetration procedure, if there's not consistent commitment of the management, then will not be a successful task. The point that we need to make here, what we have seen as an obstacles sometimes in early adopters, is that we have employees giving us feedback that when something new is introduced, they feel that they are always under supervision. The need is that the management needs to stress that we are not introducing new things to control. We are not looking for your mistakes. We are not looking for negative points. We are not looking for the bad things. We are merely looking at improving. Yes, we might find some faults along the way, but the intention is to find these faults, find these defects and fix them. It's not to allocate blame. It's just to improve. The management needs to stick to this strategy and have always the same point of view towards all the levels within the organization. I now like to share a graphical example in the sense that what happens if the management doesn't follow through. So we have the example of introducing a new rule, and the new rule is no smoking. So this is a real story. Alex, who is the director of the company, is not so strong in the non-smoking policy. But at some point, Alex decides to quit smoking himself. So then everyone in the company are forced to follow the rule, and they are forced to follow the example of the manager, of the director, and they do not smoke in the premises of the organization. But what happened is that after 6 months or so, Alex started smoking again. He first didn't do it in the whole organization, but only in his office. So what happened is that gradually people started smoking here and there, and after another good 3 months passed and everyone was smoking again all over the organization. This is a really simple example to show that if you do not stick to what you say, if the manager does not stick and commits to the same message with a duration, this will then backfire and the whole thing will fail. What I'd like to ask here is what type of difficulties would you expect as a manager or a provider of such a system to others? So when you consider your clients, when you consider your colleagues, when you consider people that you supervise, what do you think will be the problem in introducing something? And I'm waiting for your answers in the chat box. Because new technologies will not be accepted and adopted in one night. You may have listened to the needs of stakeholders and selected what you want to introduce, selected that, okay, this is very suitable for me. And you have formed a clear message, decided that yes, I'm going to commit to this. And you have defined specific goals and timelines because, of course, you need to have a time schedule. We are going to adopt this, we're going to use it, but all of this needs to have a time frame. What types of difficulties you may encounter? There is an axiom, which is the resistance to change. Anything, anyone, at any time that is asked to change the way they usually operate will resist. The desk example that I want to share is there was an employee that had a desk of a specific size, which was actually too big for the specific job position. I mean, in terms of the actual desk in the space. And we changed it with a slightly smaller one. When I say slightly, I'm talking just 5 centimeters more narrow. The thing is that even this bothered in the sense that it was a change, a minor change that did not affect the working space, that did not affect the working position, that did not affect the working status, but it was a change. The employee felt unease for a few days because this was a change. This was something different. So how can we succeed? How can we bend this resistance to change? We need first to select a small group, a suitable group, a group of people that are open to change, that are open to new technologies, that are a bit of tech savvy, and they want always to explore new things. And this group of people needs to be willing to share information and the vision that the management has in order to propagate the message to within the organization. So you first need to convince a small group of people, listen to ideas, we will discuss later on what tools we can use on that, and stay on the positive side, talk about the advantages, talk about what we have to gain without, again, um, hiding the fact that this is indeed a change. There will be some time that we'll need to allocate to understand how this can be incorporated in our business and what are the advantages that this new thing will offer to our organization. The small group can be more active and more efficient in the sense of also offering ideas and alternatives and conveying messages from other levels within the organization that usually do not reach the management level. When it comes to change management, another thing that we need to consider is the standards. So it might be that the standards can be used to hold the fall and to help accelerate the adoption. The standards can be standards on procedures, such as certain ISO standards, or they can be standards for manufacturing, they can be standards for data exchange. So whatever type of standard you may consider that is suitable for your activity. The use of standards offers a simple structure and a clear procedure. So let's just say that it may help us say what is the simplest way of doing something, or even the best way of doing something within our organization. When you need to consider offering products or services that cater specific needs or specific market segments, certification might be necessary or just a plus, but always something positive, both for your employees and your clients. So the use of standards and the use of having, let's say, a pillow to lean on is also a helpful tool to accelerate adoption and to convince people that are more skeptical during this introduction phase. So enough with the manager point of view, let's change and go to the employee point of view. Here we can define two cases, depending on who started with it, who had the idea of introducing something. Let's say that I am the employee or I belong to a group of employees, and we suggest a good idea or a perfect idea, I would consider, and the management actually said, yes, this is a good idea, I will make it happen. So since I'm the employee, I feel that I am being recognized, I can feel creative, acknowledged, and I have the sense that the management listens to me. And this offers a very positive, let's say, feedback and positive environment in the sense that it can boost productivity, and I can understand that I can stay productive and resourceful. So yes, I will do that. I will continue to put on new ideas. Also, when it comes to the actual idea that it's going to be implemented, for the employee that has suggested it, there's a sense also of additional responsibility or ownership, in the sense even excited sometimes, but in the sense that it was my idea. I would like to see that this is successful, and I will feel much better if the management commits to support this so that it will be okay, it will be able to be realized and be an actual procedure within the company. Question that I have for you is, do you think that the management always have good ideas? So, because we talked about the employee point of view, and we saw the first case who was the case that an employee started with the idea or with the request of the introduction of something new. So in the case that it's not the employee that has started it, but it's the manager or the management or a supervisor or anyway someone on top of us, what do you think? Does the management always have good ideas? Should the employees or you as an employee have a say in that, and is it good or acceptable to object to what the management suggests? Okay, let's say that the management suggested something that I don't like. The first thing that we need to consider is, why don't I like it? I mean, it's just resistant to change. I don't want it because someone asked for me to do something different. And the thing is that we have always done it a certain way is not an answer in the competitive environment that we live in. The question that I need to pose to myself, and in order to improve myself in change management and in self-change, let's say, if you will, is to understand why I don't like it and to pose the question if this new introduction will be useful and how it will be useful to my day-to-day activities, to my day-to-day work. Or it could be something that it will be useful but only in certain cases. Are these cases critical? Is there a point in making the investment on introducing something new that will need time and effort of everyone involved in order to be integrated into everyday activities? Let's take another case that the management has suggested something that it is not something that I like. But now we need to consider also the case that the management has suggested something that it is, well, not so good. The employee is also partially responsible for the way an enterprise, an organization operates. This is what we consider an active employee. So if I am the person that wants the best for my company, the best for my organization, I will not accept everything without a critical eye. This is an actual picture. It's not a joke. It's a chimney, actually. So there's a regulation that says that the chimney of an adjacent building needs to be that the chimney of a certain building needs to be higher than the height of the adjacent building so that it does not affect with fumes and smoke the residents of the adjacent building. But in this case, the adjacent building does not have windows in that face, and there's also no other restrictions around. This is a corner. So someone in the management or someone in the technical department did some wrong calculations. Nobody stopped him. Someone, or her, someone said, okay, these numbers are good, let's build this. Someone said to the management, we want money for these many meters of tubes. Nobody stopped them. Someone actually started constructing this, and nobody stopped them. Someone decided that this is a good idea and we need to keep it, and so we need to somehow support this, and they put the whole metal things around it in order to make it more stable. This is an example of a series of very stupid decisions and people that did not oppose at all at any stage. So do not accept everything without a critical eye, but because you are talking to management, supervisor, you need to oppose with facts. So when you are in the sense that you need to tell someone who is organizationally above you that this is not a good idea, be also prepared to see resistance to what you will say. But if you make a strong case with facts, then yes, you can convince that some ideas are, let's say, not so good as others. Let's say the case that the management actually suggested something that I like. Then it is my responsibility as an active employee to support this and say that, okay, this is a good idea. This is going to be good for our company, good for my everyday activities, and I would like to help you convince the others that are more skeptical in order to share the message. I'm looking forward to actually having this as a part of my everyday activities. Some things may be very attractive in terms of technology, or they may sometimes appear too good to be true. So keep a critical eye, even if this is something that you would like to see within your everyday activities. Don't be too enthusiastic and be able to reassess. So this is a procedure that we need to continuously evaluate in the introduction phase, in the early adoption phase, so that we see if there are any problems, if there are any bugs, if there are any deviations of what we expected that the impact would be, in order to fix it from the beginning. Otherwise, if you try to massively introduce something that is not functioning as well as it should be, then it will fail. So we need to make sure in the early adoption phase that we rule out most of the bugs or most of the serious bugs involved in the procedure of early adoption of a novel technology, and continuously reassess from both views in order for this to be successful. What we need to do is a small big step, is to make small steps that will have a big effect in the end. When we are dealing with new things, we need to consider that the new is considered as something not known, or at least unknown to a certain degree, both to the management and to the employees, as well as the other stakeholders that can be involved: providers, suppliers, recycling, other types of stakeholders if a company has a different legal status. So the management needs to be hand in hand with the employees and vice versa in order to make sure that the attempt is successful. We can use different tools, and we can propose some, or you can find in the literature, but it is necessary to select the ones that is best for you. So what I would always like to propose is for people to capitalize on what they have already. So, and that's a question to you. Do you have some kind of evaluation system? Do you have some kind of measuring system or quality monitoring system that you could reduce? If there is a tool, a spreadsheet or whatever that people are familiar with, it can be easier to use it for a different thing. So in a term you are replicating for another way of understanding the introduction of novel technologies. It's not always about having the best tool. It's not always about having a very sophisticated project management. It's about having simple and effective tools. And of course, as we discussed, we need to make sure that the information is shared at full and at all levels. Let's say we start by setting some examples. Here we can discuss some examples from successful cases that we have had, and you can pick your own or decide to capitalize on what you already have. The first and easy way to do something is to understand something and to pass something forward is that you cannot improve something if you cannot measure it. That's a statement. So you need to set targets and indicators and help visualize in the best possible way what is the current status and find a simple and understandable way for everyone involved to see what will be the outcome, what are the advantages, and depict the current status and what is the end point. In order to do that successfully, you're required to design data, the use of data and the assessment of data that is feasible to collect. So what you need to have is design on collectionable, let's say, data, and these can be associated to reliable measurements. This might be quantitative or qualitative, it doesn't matter, but we need to have them specifically set and described so that they can be materialized in the end. A concept that can be used is, okay, I will not go for the acronym, is productivity, quality, cost, delivery, safety, and morale. So this is a circle that we can follow through and through in a continuous improvement approach so that we can decide what is good to introduce to an organization and reassess the invasion, let's say, steps of the novel technology in an organization. The DMic, which is quite trendy and is a tool used also by the EFQM, the European Quality Management Group of Excellence. It's the define problematic areas, measure results and KPIs, analyze findings, improve specific aspects, and control the part of the process. So the same approach that can be used in a lot of processes and procedures can be used also here when you're trying to introduce something. The sense is that you form small teams that work continuously together and they define, measure, analyze what's happening, and they come up with improvement points so that we can say that, okay, the first department has accepted it. Is it okay? Yes. Let's go to the second. So a step-by-step expansion of the novel technology to within the organization will be made successful if we use this approach. Evaluation teams is also another approach, and the size of the team depends on the size of the company, of the organization, and the issue that's being tackled and the nature of it. Some teams need to be formed by people in the same department, or we need to have people from over all the departments of an organization. It could be one person that contributes from a specific department to this team, or a group of persons. The objective is to have it formed by not the same kind of people. So by people with different skills and different departments and different points of views and different levels sometimes of familiarization with novel technologies, so that you will be able to have a complete point of view. If you just have, and this is during the penetration phase, if you just have people that are very enthusiastic about it, they will say yes, 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 everything is nice, everything is good, we want it, we like it, we will use it. But this is not the real point of view. Yes, you will have such a team that will help you propagate the message, but in order for this to grow, you need these working teams that will fight resistance within the departments, within the organizations, and slowly, gradually make the change acceptable. You also need to introduce motivators. You need to provide support and guidance, answer questions, provide clarifications, and do some campaigns in order to keep everyone's engagement. And do not forget about brainstorming. Ask, get ideas, get a great pool of ideas. Maybe you won't use all of them. Well, you don't use all of them. Maybe 50% are not even applicable. Maybe 80% is to be thrown in the trash. But even the one or two good ideas that you can get from this session are mostly valuable. And also the team building experience is very important and will help you in the next steps. I'm moving a bit forward because we need to wrap it up in a bit. So the business model canvas is also something that you can use to assess partners' activities, resources, and the value proposition of this new introduction, as well as the concept of good change of the Kaizen. And let me discuss also about a more graphic tool that you can use to have a production or process flow diagram printed out and ask for every stakeholder in this procedure to say what are the pros or cons per production, per process unit that will be affected by the introduction of new technologies. So everyone writes on this diagram, you take a photo, you hang it, you enforce team building, and you can do it as much times as you want. The approach is that to have everyone involved and everyone seeing that there are positive things, and even when the negative things are being recorded, to be prepared to answer to them so that they will be answered, tackled, and the people that were not so willing to accept this change will slowly start bending and accept it. This is what I wanted to share with you today. We have a few times for questions if you have. Please use the chat. I would like to thank everyone in the meanwhile for your participation. We are looking forward to seeing you in other dLearn webinars. If you need anything after this, I would like also to remind you that the recording of the presentation will be available on the dLearn site. And if you would like anything more, when you think a bit more about it, you could email me at metaxa with x@abe.gr. I see that today this is a shy group, so we don't have any questions here. I would like again to thank you all for your participation. We're looking forward to seeing you in other events that we have. And I would like to ask for your feedback in case you have something that you would like to have seen and that you did not see in this presentation. We want to become better as time progresses, and thank you very much.